Hey there, students. It's Kate Lawson here. I'm so excited to be having you for Intro to Sociology, so welcome. This video is just intended to get you orientated with the course and some of the expectations and how to navigate and all of that, but also just a short video to introduce myself and actually get a chance to kind of talk to you, I guess, not with you. But so excited to be having you, especially during this time of COVID, where I think taking a sociology class can be really enlightening and get you thinking about how interconnected we really all are, especially during this time of COVID, where, once we don't have that in a one-on-one sense, it gets us thinking a lot about our lives and how we're supposed to be interconnected with one another and how maybe Zoom or videos just don't do the same thing. And so I think COVID has been truly hard for so many of us, but also hopefully it gave you some perspective in terms of like what we can be grateful for and maybe how we might want to orientate our lives to kind of serve, the life we want to live. And so, again, great time to be taking it. With that, I know it's also a really stressful time for so many people. And so I just wanted to kind of, before I even start, let you know that if there's anything happening in your own lives personally or with your family, or there's so many things that can be happening, please reach out to me. I am very understanding. Please just let me know what's going on so we can make sure that you're okay throughout the course. But I just know that I have your back and I'm looking out for you. And I also do understand a lot of what you guys are going through during this time. And so just reach out if there's any way I can help. So a little bit about myself. I've been at Green River for this will be my 4th year, so really happy to be here. Last year I was given tenure, which means I'm a long haul kind of employee. I'll be here for a while or hope to be. So feel really privileged to be serving your community. And I really love my job. I know it sounds silly, but I spend a lot of my winter break working on classes and stuff. And sometimes I do wish I had more free time or whatever, but I kind of like doing it too. So it's fun for me. It's nice to have that free time, although I do like lounging around too. So, anyways, my background obviously is in sociology, but more specifically in crime and deviance. So, I also teach the criminology and social deviance classes on campus. Just a little bit about me. Personally, I'm originally from SoCal, so I grew up in Southern California in a town called Laverne for most of my life. Was born in Long Beach, moved up here about 6 years ago just because my husband and we wanted a different lifestyle. So we moved to Washington. We're really, really happy here. Sometimes things make a lot of sense, when you have some hindsight. I don't like using 2020 anymore. thank God by the time you watch this, we'll be in 2021. Sadly, right now I'm still in 2020, so I have to be careful. Anyways, with having a background in crime and deviance, I did a lot of research, especially around sexual assault in prison. So that's where my primary research is about. I also had a really great opportunity when I did that research to actually interview parolees, so people who had recently left prison on their sexual assault in prison. So kind of a heavy topic and not something everyone's really into, but I found it really, really interesting. And so, as much as I like to just share with you what I've done in my past, I also like for you to recognize like what your options might be if you end up going into sociology. So that's very, very exciting. Prior to moving up to Washington, I was teaching in SoCal. So this is actually my 12th year in the classroom. I started pretty young, actually. So I started teaching right after I had graduated with my MA. And so I've been in the classroom for a little bit. So, but this year has been my first year being purely online. I've taught online before, but it's always been like one class, and mostly I'm in person. So, being all at home has been kind of a transition for me as well. There are some things I like about it. There are some things I don't like about it. I like not having to get up in the cold. I like sleeping in some mornings. sitting in front of my computer can be hard for like 8 hours a day. And so keep in mind that I'm with you. I know what you're doing because I'm sitting here doing the same thing. And you'll see because you'll email me and I'll email you right back because I'm right here just working. And so, there are some days that I'm like, hey, this is kind of nice. I wouldn't want to be in front of people today. But there are other days that I definitely miss that interaction that we have in the classroom that oftentimes makes sociology come to life. And so, there are parts of teaching online that are a little bit more challenging, but we're all doing our best. And, if you have any suggestions, I'm happy to listen to those too, towards the end of the course, not yet. Anyways, and then just so you know, I also have an 8-year-old daughter who is doing school from home. And I just like to premise that in case I'm doing an office hours and she pops her little head in because she does need things all day long. So just note that that's also something that I'm, kind of juggling. And so, if we might be on Zoom and I might be like, hold on 1 second, I got to go take care of my kid. So just know, but also understand that, the same thing for you. If you need to take care of something while we're on Zoom, I totally understand. In my spare time, especially lately, I'm very lucky in that 2 of my favorite hobbies are something that I've been able to maintain throughout COVID. So I live in Renton, and I have a little Maple Valley Heights trail up here that I do pretty often. And I also like to read. So thankfully, I've been able to hold on to those hobbies throughout COVID. Although I would like to be hiking other places. I kind of just do the same track every other day or whatever. So in terms of expectations for the course, I hope you like it. But I've set up the course so that you can go in and actually look at all of your assignments up until the end, up until finals week. And so the course is set up in modules. Each module has an audio lecture. There'll be an assignment quiz, and then will be an assignment for that week. Most weeks, that's kind of the setup. You should plan on spending around 4 hours a week. Some weeks might be a little heavier, but that's on average what I would expect for you. You can also expect an announcement every Monday, so it's important you're checking your announcements. And I would say it's really important for you to be logging into Canvas pretty much daily. Not that so much is going to change on my end, but I want to make sure that you are being proactive. In the syllabus, I have an article about, what you need to do to be successful in an online class. And some of that is just having agency or recognizing when you need help and reaching out when you need help. That's one thing that is very challenging for me, is that, and I have adapted the course a little bit to kind of work through some of these challenges. So like if we're in class and I'm going over an assignment and there's like blank stares on people's faces and I'm like, they're not getting it, I need to go over this again. I don't get that in an online class. So if you're reading through an assignment and you don't get it, please, please, please reach out to me. Even if you're like, I have no idea. Sometimes it's just talking through this. And if you're like me, I'm not a reader. Like, I love to read, but I'm not a reader when it comes to directions. And so that's also why I have made some of my larger assignments, I've made some videos that go along with them, so that even though I'm kind of just reading through the prompt, I give you some examples in between and stuff like that, because that's how I learn. Reading instructions, like sometimes I'm like, oh, I just give up. I'm like, anything I need to do, I YouTube it. I'm a visual audio learner, so I need reading it is just not enough. So I've tried to do that as well. And then I've also adapted some of the assignments where you have rough drafts due. So I thought that one might be and that's a change that I've made this quarter. I thought if you turned in a rough draft, then I can get the feedback back to you in case there's like a major issue with the papers. Generally there's not, but every once in a while I'm like, oh my gosh, you did this whole assignment completely correct. And that's hard, right? So the rough draft is intended to kind of make sure you're on the right track, and then I can give you that feedback. So that's one change that I'm making. And so just keep in mind that I'm also kind of trying to adapt and learn through the online thing as well. So I think it's the first or second link in your modules, you'll find the syllabus. And the syllabus is really a blueprint for the course. So make sure you print that up and have that kind of at the ready so you can kind of look through it as, assignments are due and things like that. As you're reading through, highlight or mark anything that you need clarity on. I'll be holding an office hour this week, or I guess I'm making this a week early. That's sometimes why it's hard for me, but it will be your first week of class. And if you have any questions, or I would just even urge you to come drop in and say hello. It's really nice to see, for me, to know that there's a real person, because sometimes I just see your name or whatever. And so I'm asking, come and say hi, introduce yourself. It makes a lot of difference, I think, for both of us. But also, office hours are there. They'll be there every week. So it's really on you to come in and ask questions, but also consider that, don't wait until the last minute. Don't assume that I'm going to answer an email on a Sunday afternoon, because I probably won't. So if you haven't looked at the assignment, it's been there all week, and you didn't look until Sunday afternoon and you don't know how to do it, you're kind of going to be out on your own on that one. So make sure you're checking in, reading through, knowing your expectations for the week. The information for the textbook I sent last week. If you're waiting on the book, I have downloaded the first chapter for you. So you do have the first chapter. Some students decide to use older editions. Please don't use anything older than the 13th edition. And make sure you're going by chapter name instead of chapter number. Sometimes that's an issue, but for the most part, if we're covering race that week, read the chapter on race. Make sure you're not just going, oh, chapter 13. So that's something to think about. You absolutely need the book in order to do well in the class. And so make sure that you've taken that into consideration. We will be watching 2 films in the course. And so one film you will need, actually, no, I take that back. You won't need access to Netflix, because Netflix is allowing people to watch the documentaries for free. So sorry, that was an issue that I had before that I don't need to worry about anymore. So let me make sure I covered everything. So your course is set up in modules. You're going to have office hours every week, or access to office hours. It's up to you to come to me and let me know what's going on. I do have extra credit in the course, and so make sure that I always tell students, it really improves your grades. So I know the end is kind of busy for you, but you can do extra credit early. So if you're like, what am I doing this first? Do it now. Because it's really going to help your grade in the end. And with that, I want to say, sometimes I get emails from students at the very end of the course saying, hey, I have an 89.4% or 89.7%. Are you going to round my grade up into the A? And honestly, I do not. Because then I would have to round everybody's grade up, and then I'm inflating all the grades. And so if you are in that position, I'm letting you know right now, that's what extra credit is for. So make sure you do it. But don't email me asking me to round up your grade, because I do not do that. It's not fair to all the other students. I do offer what's called a get out of jail free card. And so the get out of jail free card allows you to turn in one assignment up to a week late. After that, there's a 25% deduction per day. And so it's kind of like what I call a shit happens card. So, I would say save it. Don't use it right away. Use it for when things get stressful and things are piling up and you need that extra time. You don't need to literally turn it in. You can just write me a little comment on Canvas. I'm using my free pass, and then I'll know to expect it within the week. Okay. You should be able to see everything set up on Canvas for you. Oh, lastly, I just wanted to talk about plagiarism. And I know it's kind of a hard thing to talk about, but it's a really important thing for my course, because I do feel students for overtly plagiarizing. And what I mean by that is students who purchase papers online, students who submit papers from a past student of mine or from another student online, students who cut and paste papers together from various online sources. I mean, you can imagine, I've been doing this for a while and I've seen it all. So I just want to be very, very clear. Green River has not always had plagiarism software. We got it last quarter, and some of you noticed that. It's called Turnitin. And what Turnitin does is it compares your writing to all the writing online, all of the past assignments. So it actually downloads every student assignment. And so if you were to turn in something that your classmate turned in last year, it would actually pop up. And so anything that's overtly plagiarized like this, and again, buying papers using, I know sometimes students use translation software. We figured that out last quarter. So don't put in one paper into translation software. We figured that out. I please ask you, because I will fail you. I actually failed 2 students in fall quarter, and I really didn't want to do that, but it was overt plagiarism. This wasn't like I forgot to quote something. This was I bought a paper online, or I just cut and pasted from 3 or 4 different sources. And so, I just want to remind you that oftentimes students plagiarize when they feel uneasy about writing, or they've run out of time or whatever. I would rather you email me and just say, man, I screwed up. I really need an extra day or something like that, than plagiarize. Because sadly, these 2 students that failed will have to take the course all over again, and it screws up everything. But I also need to know that, there's integrity and honesty happening on your end, and that I'm not going to just give you a grade for someone else's work. And so that's kind of where I'm at, where I'm like, hey, look, I get it. You're very anonymous since we're all online. It's probably a lot easier. You don't have to kind of show your face every day. And so I just want to be very, very clear. I'm a very nice person, but that's one thing I do not tolerate, because it takes me a lot of time to figure all this stuff out too, and it's frustrating. So just be honest. Reach out if something's going on. Reach out if you're having, we're still in this COVID kind of nightmare. Hopefully things are going to start kind of lifting pretty soon with the vaccine. But, I understand that mental health and stress and family and physical health and all of these things are impacted by COVID. If something is going on, just reach out. I promise I will be understanding. Just make sure you're not reaching out as I'm like putting in final grades or something like that, because that happens sometimes too. Let me know what's going on. We'll figure things out. We will work together. And I want you to be successful in this course. But also the thing about writing, it's a skill. You need to work on it. You need to build it. And that's just how it is, right? So I think I covered almost everything I wanted to. Lastly, I have some notes here. So I do have PowerPoints. The PowerPoints, if they're audio. So there's a little megaphone in the corner. You'll just click on the megaphone to listen. The first chapter is a little different because I made it under Panopto, which is a different program. Didn't end up liking it. And then I made all of the rest of them on Microsoft Mix. So I want to say a few things about the PowerPoints. 90% of students have no issue accessing the audio part of the PowerPoints. A few students, and from just talking with students, I think it might be a Mac issue. But students who have had that issue were able to get into the audio lectures that have the transcriptions. So I actually had to submit my audio lectures to be transcribed to make sure that they're ADA accessible. And so those ones, for some reason, students have no problems with. So if you're, for some reason, having issues with the audio lectures, go into those transcribed ones. It's the same thing. It's just got the language or the transcription there. And hopefully that will work for you. If it doesn't, let me know. We'll figure things out. But I've had these online for a year now, and I have over 100 students every quarter, and every single student has been able to figure it out. So I'm assuming if something is not working, there's got to be something going on, maybe on your end. I mean, as silly as it sounds, sometimes, you just got to work through it and there's like an audio issue or something on your end. But also we have, Canvas resources and people here to help. So make sure you're taking that into consideration as well. All right. So thank you for so much for giving me this 20 minutes of your life. Again, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get to know you. And when we are back on campus, always feel free to come and see me. I don't think we'll be back before this course is over. But, you know, maybe. Anyways, again, welcome. Happy to have you. Reach out with any questions or concerns, and happy studying. Enjoy your course.